A woke journalist has attacked an absolute hero. This is Nedd Brockman. No relation to Kent Brockman. He is a lot like Forrest Gump without all the tism. He likes to run. In fact, he runs everywhere. He ran from one side of Australia to the other, all while raising money for charity. That's a long way. Think LA to New York. And just last week, he ran the equivalent of 4 marathons a day for 10 whole days, all a part of a challenge that he was putting out there into the world, trying to encourage people to do difficult things. His body fell apart. And if you've ever listened to someone like David Goggins talk about how his body fell apart during ultra marathon running, you'll understand the significance of this pain and torture that people who run long distances put themselves through. Nedd did it for 10 days. He seems like a very nice guy, and he raised a lot of money for homeless people in Australia. He is an absolute testament to the human ability to push ourselves and never give up. What an amazing lesson to people everywhere. That's what you would think. It's what most people would think, but not everybody. And I'll tell you all about that after these words from our sponsor today, which is me. Come and see me live. I'm in Sydney, Melbourne. I'm all throughout Australia, Brisbane and Perth. And then next year we're doing America, ladies and gentlemen. Sorry, the visa took forever. Now, let's talk about the person who thinks what Nedd did was actually quite bad, quite toxic. This is Jill Stark. She, her. Thanks, Jill. Never would have guessed. Jill is a journalist. She's a podcaster who writes about how great it is to be in your mid-40s and alone and childless. Wow. Sounds like you're having an absolute fucking ball, Jill. She said this: men's mental toughness, what Nedd has been pushing all this time, is just toxic masculinity rebranded. Fuck me sideways, Jill. Fucking fuck off. Okay, so let's do a deep dive. Let's work out who Jill is before we go on with the article. She likes to write amazing and really inspiring pieces of work like this. Why I'm Spending Christmas Alone. Exciting. And this absolute classic from a few years ago, hearing Melbourne's lockdown was ending was like a damn wall breaking. I sobbed. Wow. What a beautifully exquisite life you lead, Jill. Or this one, I'm staying at home on New Year's Eve and I'm totally fine about it. Fucking hell, Jill. Why don't you take your depressive attitude somewhere else? Keep it away from fucking positive people like old Nedd. This is quite obviously someone you should not live your life by. What she is doing seems sad and just completely upsetting. Like, I feel depressed thinking about the life she leads. I'm sure you're lovely, Jill. I'm sure you're a nice person. I'm sure you mean well, but you are so off the mark with this shit. It's unbelievable. Particularly with what you're saying about dudes. Like, you write books for lonely old women. Stay in your fucking lane, babe. Conceding her unpopular opinion was going to upset some people, author and journalist Jill Stark stressed that Brockman had done an admirable job raising money to combat homelessness and should be applauded. Thanks, Jill. Let's applaud him for a moment and then coat him with the brush of toxic masculinity, shall we? And I actually, to be fair, agree with Jill. This does look very toxic. Look at him pushing himself here. How toxic. That's so toxic. So much toxicness. Anyway, she explained that there has always been something that troubles her about the philosophy that he, talking about Nedd, I assume, espouses, and the message he's sending about what it means to be mentally strong. Because you can't do it, Jill. Because you've spent your entire life giving up, quitting when it gets hard. You can't do what he does. Rather than trying to actually attempt the difficult things that he has done, you just sit there and go, oh, it's toxic. It's fucking toxic. And then all your fucking fans sit there applauding with their fat arms. Fuck off, the lot of you. This is her weakness seeping through. It's seepage. It's trying to bring people down to her level so she doesn't have to better herself. It's so common. Call it tall poppy syndrome. Call it jealousy. Whatever you want to call it, it is very, very common. When we see people, this is what a lot of people do. They see someone who's doing very well. You want to bring them back down to your level so you don't feel as bad about yourself. Either you could look at that and go, hey, hang on. Maybe there's something wrong with what I'm doing. Or you could just blame everyone else for your own problem, which I'm sure Jill will continue to do, and people like her. It's a uniquely masculine approach to well-being that is less self-care and more self-flagellation, she wrote on Instagram. No, it's showing people what they can do if they don't give up, if they push themselves. We live And I wrote about this in Betterman, all right? There's a whole chapter about the path of least resistance and how much human beings love to follow that path. We look for it everywhere. We want to give up. It's the first thing. If you go for a 5K run, you're tired after 500 meters and your brain's telling you to stop, but you can keep going. It doesn't matter how fit you are. Your brain still comes and goes, oh, let's stop. Oh, we're injured today. The path of least resistance is always looking for you, Jill. And it's all fed by what is said in your mind to yourself. The catacombs that you get lost in so often. It's a scary place. And the deeper you get into them, the harder it is to get out. And we have a lot of people who are stuck in them. I've been stuck in them before, and I'm sure you have as well. It's a constant battle to find your way out. Nedd probably got lost in this maze 1,000 times during this run, but found his way out somehow. In this worldview, the more grueling the challenge and the more performative the suffering, the more psychologically robust you are. It's a part of a growing trend in recent years of men repackaging mental health as mental toughness. You don't think to combat someone's bad mental health, you need to be mentally tough? Maybe it's a lesson that we should all learn pretty early on. And yeah, sure, some things are just showing off. But is this showing off? Or is this just showing how horrific something can be, but you can still get through it? Because no one's looking at what Nedd did and thought, wow, I'd love to do that. Fucking no one. Everyone's looking at that going, fuck that, but I can't believe he did it. And self-care is something that's different for everyone. I imagine Jill's idea of self-care is dropping her kids off in the morning, going to get her nails done and then get her hair done and then get home and bitch about her, well, she doesn't have a husband, bitch about something. Other people need to do more difficult things throughout their day to bring them back to baseline. Maybe it's nice for you to do nice relaxing things. Other people aren't like that. Not everyone's like you, Jill. And sometimes some people like to do the relaxing things and other times they like to do the tough things, all right? Mental toughness is very important for everyone. Everyone should learn it at some point in their lives. In fact, you should probably learn it your entire life. Mental toughness often correlates to physical toughness, which will set you up for an easier existence in this difficult world. Jill goes on, extreme endurance runs, ice baths, paleo diets, biohacking, and raw dogging long-haul flights are just some of the things men are doing, fucking men, bastards, in the name of self-improvement. Forget about the raw dogging flights. That's all just a joke. But let's look at endurance runs. Very, very difficult. You're going to become a much tougher person if you do those. Ice bars, very, very difficult. They suck. They're horrible. I do mine every second day. It's actually sitting over there right now. Every second day, 4 minutes at 4 degrees. Horrific, all right? But if that's the hardest thing you have to do every day, then the rest of the day is a fucking breeze. Paleo diets, biohacking, looking after yourself. Yes, that's horrible, very toxic. But I bet she can't do any of those. If you put her in an ice bath, she'd give up in 30 seconds. If you put her on a run, she'd give up in 30 seconds. This is the type of person we're talking about, and this person's giving advice to other people. Think about that. Is this really an example of mind over matter, or is the blokeification, that's a word our American viewers won't understand, of mental fitness just toxic masculinity rebranded, she asks? Okay, here's the better question. Who are you, Jill? Why is anyone listening to you? And why are you commenting on the mental fitness, mental health, mental toughness of dudes? You write books aimed at single 40-year-old women. What an amazing target market. But why are you talking to us? Now, Nedd himself, this dude, he won't speak up about this shit. He seems like a very positive person. He's also very marketable. He doesn't want to have fights with people on the internet. He doesn't want to be seen to be calling anyone out. He doesn't want to do any of that type of shit because he makes his money from being a marketable person. Someone that brands can use and they're not going to get any heat for it. Fortunately for Nedd, and not that he's asked me to do this, I will stick up for him and just say, Jill, fuck off. Suck a fat one and fuck off. I'm happy to talk some shit about Jill. Jill has a proud history of using her platform to shine a light on injustice. Wow. And give a voice to the voiceless. In 2014, she was named Straight Ally of the Year, recognizing her extensive media advocacy for the LGBTQIA+ community. Beautiful, well done. Jill is also a passionate mental health advocate, except when it comes to fucking dudes, apparently, and has written extensively in the gaps in the system, Australia's suicide epidemic, and the complexities of the human condition. And yet she doesn't understand, obviously, men. If you're so concerned about the suicide epidemic, wouldn't you realize that perhaps the vast majority of people that kill themselves, men, may need to be treated differently to how you would treat women in that situation? Maybe. Just putting it out there, Jill. This is not me having a go at you. This is me asking that as a general question. maybe we're not the same. You may think that this video is harsh, attacking her. But if I made a video and the roles were reversed and I was attacking a female for whatever reason, Jill would come after me, and I think it's only fair that I go after her. All I'm saying, Jill, stay in your lane, okay? You know not what you speak. Ladies and gentlemen, be a good motherfucker. Peace in the Middle East. Me dick stinks. Toodaloo, au revoir. Bye-bye.